The dumber, the smarter, the dumber. What does that even mean? Why do idiots feel like they're so smart, and why do smart people feel like they're so dumb? You're going to learn why in this video. In fact, I've discovered that the people who know the most about a thing feel like they know the least. But the people who know the least feel like they know the most. And if you don't believe me, just go have some teenagers, and you will find out in short order. Well, the reason that's the case is because when it comes to any subject, it could be science, it could be math, it could be how planes fly, it could be cars, it could be business, it could be sales, it could be financial literacy. When it comes to knowledge, we all have a knowledge base, and our knowledge base around any subject always begins very, very small. By the way, this illustration is to show you a concept and an idea. This is not scientific. There's absolutely zero science in what I'm about to show you. This is just an illustration to show you a point. Well, on the outside of our knowledge base are a bunch of little vacuum tubes that I call idea receptors. And there are a couple of dozen idea receptors on the outside of our knowledge base, and those idea receptors are like little vacuum tubes, and they can suck in the knowledge that's immediately around our knowledge base. But there's all this information out here that our knowledge base is not even aware that it's not aware of. Not only is it not aware of it, it's not aware of it, the fact that it's not aware of it. But the knowledge base, the knowledge that's just outside our knowledge base, our idea receptors suck it in and like, oh, that sounds interesting. And then we learn a lot more about that subject, and then our knowledge base gets bigger. Well, as our knowledge base gets bigger, the surface area gets bigger. And now we have more idea receptors because a larger surface area can now hold more idea receptors. And so our knowledge base gets bigger. We now know more than we used to know, but because we have more idea receptors, we feel like we know less. Oh, this makes so much sense. This is why the more I learn about a subject, the less I feel like I know. But I'm amazed because I'm taking these high-level guitar lessons right now, and I feel like, man, I got it. I've got my triads locked and loaded. I've got my minors and my thirds. I got all this stuff locked and loaded, all this music theory, and then all of a sudden he says, okay, now I'm going to show you something else. I'm like, because I didn't know how much I didn't know about music until I started taking high-level guitar lessons. And guess what? So these idea receptors come into the knowledge base that's right outside of them, and we suck in that knowledge, our knowledge base gets bigger, and when our knowledge base gets bigger, we have more room for more idea receptors, and now they're coming in contact with even more knowledge. This knowledge base right here had no idea this stuff existed. It certainly has no idea this stuff exists. And this is why we have to be hyper intentional about what we are going to focus on, because we're going to suck in a bunch of knowledge, and if we're sucking in knowledge about nonsense, we're pretty much wasting space in our experience of life. And what would be so much more beneficial to us and the people around us and the people around the world is if we become hyper intentional about what we focus on just outside our knowledge base. Then we bring in a whole bunch more knowledge. Now we got more idea receptors, and this thing keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and more surface area, and bigger and bigger and bigger, and more idea receptors and more idea receptors. And the bigger your knowledge base gets, the more you know, but the less you feel like you know. Who do you think feels smarter? The person with a knowledge base that's this big, that's coming in contact with all this information they don't know? Who feels smarter, this person or this person? This guy definitely feels smarter because his knowledge base is full, and there's less around him that he's aware of that he doesn't know than this person. This person is so aware of how much there is they don't know that they feel like they know nothing. This is why the best learners, the people who learn the most, are always incessant, insatiable, like learners. Always reading books, always attending seminars, always learning the next new thing. Why? Because we can't help it. The things we know create an environment in our minds where we have to know more.